Okay, so welcome everybody. I am Tresa Laferty, and before we start my full portion of the presentation, I am going to turn it over to another board member of the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin, Heather Burkhart, to do a bit of an introduction about our association. So I will let Heather talk about these few things.
Hey everyone, thanks Teresa, and just a couple of housekeeping things to keep yourself on mute for the time being through the presentation. Like Teresa said, she is going to stop recording at the end of the presentation, so we move into Q&A. That is when you'll be invited to unmute yourself. In the meantime, you are welcome to type questions in the chat if they're relevant to what we're talking about, and we'll try to keep tabs on the chat to see if there's anything we can contribute to the conversation. Otherwise, Teresa is just going to be rolling on with her presentation. Obviously, camera is optional, even during the Q&A section. Next slide. Welcome. Next one. So our vision, the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin, our vision is Ayurveda education for all, to build and promote public awareness, education, and recognition of Ayurveda, its principles, benefits, and practices as a system of healing that honors the connection of mind, body, and spirit. Also to support our Ayurveda practitioners here in Wisconsin, to just support the professional practice of Ayurveda through networking, collaboration, education, and professional affiliations. Our mission is to support a statewide community rooted in Ayurveda by providing education, connection, resources. We're committed to serving both the professionals of Ayurveda and those who are interested in using Ayurveda on their healing path. In other words, all are welcome. So now I'm going to hand things over to Teresa. She is going to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about her, and I'll hand it over. Teresa.
Great. Thank you, Heather, and welcome everybody. One of the things, if this is your first session that you've joined with the Ayurveda Association or your 6th or 7th, just to let you know that we do try to do something on a regular basis. Every couple of months, we offer a donation-based presentation that has its roots in Ayurveda, sharing our wisdom and our passion for this practice with our community. So just know that by registering for this, you will be added to the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin's email list. It's not an email list that goes out, at a bothersome rate. It's a very low roar, and it is very Ayurvedic specific, specific. So know that part of our way within the association of sharing our knowledge and educating people about Ayurveda is doing these donation-based presentations. So at the end, I will share, and others can share some of our pages on our website that shows the past events, the recordings of all of those, and how you kind of stay in touch with us with the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin. So my name is Tresa Laferty, if I don't know you, and I am the current president of the AAW, or the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin. I'm also a NAMA certified Ayurvedic practitioner, and NAMA is our National Association of Ayurveda, and I am a nationally certified Ayurvedic practitioner through them. I'm also a certified advanced medicinal aromatherapist and an intuitive animal and human healer. At the end of the presentation, I will share with you how you can stay in touch with me personally, as well as to follow and stay in touch with the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin. But on to our topic of tonight, which is healthy holiday digestion. I have 10 tips from Ayurveda on how to keep your digestion healthy and happy during the holiday season. And there are all of us that are trained in Ayurveda, all of us are Ayurvedic experts, if you will, on the functioning and the health of the digestive system. Ayurveda as a practice is based, one of our basic pieces of understanding, and the place where we always start is healthy digestion. So even though this presentation is somewhat geared towards holiday types of things, just know that anybody that you are working with that is a qualified Ayurvedic practitioner or health counselor or counselor, we are all trained very well in understanding the digestive system and how we can bring balance to it. So if you are struggling with anything with your digestive system, at the end of our presentation, we'll share a page where you can find vetted or verified Ayurvedic professionals that can help you on a personal one-on-one level. But tonight, we're going to focus on 10 tips. They're not necessarily, I won't say the 10 top tips, because these are very general, and they are, let's say they're general and they're meant for the general population, and they come from the root of Ayurveda. So I just say 10 tips from Ayurveda, because we could go on and on and on about digestion. But it helps you to know part of Ayurveda. One of the definitions of Ayurveda, that word, is, when you boil it down to its fine piece essence, the definition of Ayurveda is to know yourself better. Know yourself better. Know what kind of digestion you have. Know what things cause you the most trouble. Know what kind of emotional state you are normally in. What is an emotional state that is most common for you to be out of balance in? So we are a practice of knowing ourselves better. So Ayurveda has kind of 3 different ways of looking at things, almost like 3 different lenses to look at problems in the world. And they are through a Vata lens. I'll describe that in just a minute. Through a Pitta lens, and through a Kapha lens. To keep this conversation within the hour that we're given, I'm just going to talk about those definitions as it relates to the digestive functioning. So common Vata types of digestion, and you can see I've got some little graphics here on the screen that represent these different types of digestion. So a Vata type of digestion has a lot to do with air. So these little bubbles, right, form in the digestive system. So definitely this is where we would be looking at gas. We would maybe looking at bloating. A big problem that is classified as Vata is constipation, some digestive pain, belching, even having incomplete bowel movements. So if you're listening to this, you might be going, okay, I have this one and I have this one, or something like that. So looking at it and determining where your digestive troubles might be. So the first one we talked about is something called Vata, which is constipation, gas, digestive pain, not generally body pain. I mean, it is, but in this instance, digestive pain, belching, bloating, incomplete bowel movements. Then another type that has a little bit more fire to it, as you can see here, right? We got a fire that's going on in the belly, is this thing called Pitta digestion. And the common troubles of a Pitta digestive person are excess acid, heartburn, diarrhea, heat in the digestive system, and even heat when eliminating. In one of my class sessions, I was describing to the students about having hot urine and hot stool. And some of them that do not have this problem, their eyes kind of flapped open wide. They're like, that's a thing? Yes, it's a thing. So too much fire in the belly, excess acid. Some people might say sour stomach, or definitely heat in the digestive system. We classify that as Pitta type of digestion. Kapha type digestion is kind of as this funny little picture of the stomach looks like. It it's almost like feeling full all the time. Like even though you might not have eaten very much, you can get feeling full very quickly. But it is most often plagued with what we would say sluggish digestion, always feeling full, having nausea, having bloating, and even having some mucus in the digestive system. If you see mucus coming out in the toilet, either in your urine or in your bowel movements, then you know in some way our kapha dosha is at play. So these are 3 general categories of how Ayurveda looks at digestion. Some things that we commonly do to make these types of digestive types worse are what I've listed on the page. And I'll go through these just to give you an idea. And again, this Ayurveda it's a practice that comes from India, and its basic function is to help us know ourselves better. So as we're going through this, maybe start thinking of yourself. Do I do what she's listed here? And do I have what she said that type had? So the most aggravating things that we can do digestively to the vata type of digestion is have excessive caffeine, coffee, have cold and or raw foods, and this does include salads and raw veggies. Cold drinks, definitely ice drinks are one of the worst. That makes this this particular digestive this dosha worse. And then dry, hard foods. What the heck is that? You could even think of crackers and popcorn and chips. All those things are dry and hard. And then one of the most aggravating things that we do for this particular dosha is skip meals. Saying that I had I had 3 nuts. That's a good meal. These are the things that are going to be most aggravating for that digestion that has constipation, gas, bloating, incomplete bowel movements, even pain in the digestive system. This fiery type, the things that can be most aggravating to it is drinking excessive alcohol and excessive caffeine, having hot and spicy foods, like the hotter the better. You might be that person, or you might know that person. Yeah, the hotter the better, the hot peppers. Eating too fast, or as we say, shoveling it in, and overeating, because eating too fast usually leads to overeating. So those are the most aggravating things for our heated or our fiery digestive types. This kapha type of digestion, the one that kind of feels full all the time, the things that are most aggravating to that are heavy, dense, cold foods. One of the number one things that is a heavy, dense, and a cold food is ice cream. The kapha types, they love ice cream. It's one of the most aggravating foods for them. They definitely are very aggravated by overeating and by excessive sweets. And I would even say another heavy, dense, cold food that they tend to love is cheese. Can be most aggravating to that digestive type. So again, looking at these and wondering, which one am I, or which one do I typically do? And do I experience what Vatas experience, which is constipation? Do I have cold raw foods? Do I drink cold drinks? Do I skip meals? Do I have excessive caffeine intake? If I have a fiery type digestion, am I drinking excessive alcohol? And excessive is based on your own personal amount, right? There's not everybody's a different person. So looking at that and saying, what is the type that is the most aggravating to you? And are you eating really fast? And are you having hot, spicy foods? And then we look at our little kapha type and saying, am I eating ice cream and cheese and having excessive sweets? Okay, so this is a very brief description of different digestive types, but I'm going to now move into the 10 tips from Ayurveda for healthy digestion during the holidays. And these are what I would classify as tri-doshic, or good for all 3 of those types. Number 1 thing, sipping hot water, and even hot water with a little bit of lemon in it. What does that do? I'm going to actually make the words part here a little bit bigger so you can see this. And some of you might, if you find this really helpful, some people like to take a picture. It's up to you. So sipping hot water with lemon or lime and avoiding iced or cold beverages is anytime, but particularly during times when food is the focus of our life, which for a lot of people during the holiday season, food is the focus of our life. Food and spending time with family and getting together for meals, getting together to share in all types of different food, but having a little thermos, having your hot water in it, as hot as you can personally take it. Unlike other citrus fruits, lemon and lime helps to reduce acid in the digestive system. So that is not the case with orange, tangerine, grapefruit. Specifically, lemon and lime help to reduce acid in the digestive system. Sipping hot water, even if it's plain, sipping hot water keeps the body hydrated. Cold water is harder to assimilate. Hot water supports deep hydration. Many people think that they're hungry, but they're actually thirsty. Hot water, sipping hot water is more easily assimilated into the body as a form of hydration. Sipping hot water also reduces cravings and desires to eat and snack, especially when you're not hungry. Sipping hot water reduces sludges or sludge, which in our word in Ayurveda is ama. So it helps to reduce ama or toxicity in the body. And then why hot water versus cold water or room temperature water? I want you to think about, like, if you have something sticky on your counter, like something sugary or something that's spilled that you maybe forgot about and it left this like sticky spot on your counter. If you tried to get that off with cold water, it's going to take a long time. We all know, all of us who keep a nice tidy kitchen, in order to get something sticky and gooey off of another thing, we put something hot on it. So Ayurveda looks at toxicity in the body as like a form of stickiness. Like a sludgy, sticky thing. In order for the body to be able to release that and let it go, you can imagine that during the holiday time, we might be increasing our stickiness, our sludge in the body. So in order to help the body release that, hot water. So our first tip to keeping your digestive system healthy and happy during the holidays, and really all the time, is to sip hot water. And adding a slice of lemon or lime to it would be great. Tip number 2. This is a really pretty tip. Bring lemon and lime even, wedges to your gatherings. So again, I'm going to make this text part a little bit bigger so you can see it. You'd be surprised at the number of people that use lemon and lime wedges in their water or in their hot tea, in all kinds of beverages. Even if they slipped it into a glass of ice water, it's going to do a little bit of aid in your keeping your digestion healthy and happy. Lime helps to specifically reduce acidity in meals. Both lemon and lime enhance digestion. You'll be really happy to see everybody putting the pretty lemon and lime wedges into their water, and it is a beautiful addition to any holiday table. When you think about your holiday table, many times it's a bit of the muted fall colors. It's like the browns. Sometimes there's green on the table. There might just be a green salad. But this beautiful bowl, and you could even find a really pretty bowl itself, and cutting up lemons and limes and putting them in this beautiful bowl and sitting this out on the table, or even putting it near where people get their beverages if you have that sort of setup. It's just very pretty, and it's a healthy thing to do for you and everybody else at the gathering. Tip number 3 is digestive spices. Ayurveda is not only known just for knowing a lot about the digestive system, we particularly are known for our use of a lot of spices. And I want you to look at this last line. I'm going to make it a little bigger. I want you to look at this very last line. Spice does not mean spicy and hot. I want you to really hear that. So when I'm talking about adding digestive spices, I'm not meaning adding hot chili peppers, jalapenos, all that. So I'm not talking about that. And I've got a short list of them in here. So increasing the use of digestive spices in your meals. The most common spices are coriander, fennel, cumin, ginger, fresh and dried, black pepper. Most Americans know about black pepper, parsley, dill, cinnamon, and realize that coriander is also cilantro. So these are some really common spices that most everybody has either in their refrigerator or in their spice drawer. A really common thing that us Ayurveda people do, we chew fennel seeds after meals to alleviate gas and bloating. And we also put fresh ginger slices in our hot water to help with sluggish digestion. If you realize that in Thanksgiving in particular, it's very common to use a lot of sage and thyme, rosemary. Those are relatively heating. They're not heating spices like peppers, but they are heating spices to help our body to digest heavy ingredients. Heavy ingredients like meat and potatoes and milks and breads. Those are very heavy ingredients. So we use in Ayurveda, especially at the holiday time, we don't shy away from lots of flavorful foods using really good digestive spices like coriander, fennel, cumin, ginger, black pepper, parsley, dill, cinnamon. All of those very good to use in our food. Find ways to use them. You could even use sage. Like I said, a lot of people use sage in their dressing, their thing, you know, the stuffing. So it's really good to use any of these spices, particularly during this time of eating a lot of food or activities centered around eating. Eat your largest meal in the daylight. It's like, what are you talking about, right? If this is your first little tiptoe into Ayurveda, this might be new information for you. Again, I'm going to make the text a little bit bigger so you can see it. All good Ayurveda people know that our digestive fire, the digestive fire that's in our body, aligns with the flow of the sun. What does that mean? It means we have the most active and supportive digestive fire at the peak of the sun. When the sun is the highest in the sky, our digestive system, our digestive juices, our digestive fire, or Agni, as we call it in Ayurveda, is at its peak function. As the sun starts to set, so does our digestive fire. So if we're having our largest meal in the evening, later in the evening, it's much harder for our body to digest that meal. Doesn't matter if you've starved yourself all day. My belly is really empty. I'm going to have my big meal at night. It actually doesn't really matter that you're doing that, because your digestive fire, even though you're hungry, your ability to metabolize that food reduces as the sun goes down. So having your largest meal during the middle of the day, or at least, as we say, in the daylight, eating that larger meal in the daylight makes it easier to digest, leaving the evening hours for more soups and stews and even, you know, really a festive soup. And there's some beautiful soups, beautiful soup bowls, nice breads and things that we can have in the evening hours. So your tip number 4 is to eat your largest meal in the daylight and leave the evening hours for smaller things. Snacks or festive soups would be ideal. Number 5, I know that you've heard someone say this in your family, chew your food, right? It's really important to do. And I'm going to give you some insights as to why we really, really need to be chewing our food. But I think this is a funny little picture of a little being chewing his food, sort of. Stuffed his face, that's for sure. So chewing your food actually helps to eliminate gas and bloating. It improves and alleviates stress on the digestive system. And you're like, well, how? I understand. I mean, most people go, yeah, kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense. But really, one of the most important pieces of this when we chew our food, and when I say chewing it to like an appropriate smush, what you really need to be thinking about is every surface of every particle of the food that you're eating should be covered in your saliva. And I don't mean big chunks. I mean, every tiny little piece of particle of the food should be covered in your saliva. Digestion doesn't start in the stomach, it starts in the mouth with the saliva, covering things with saliva. So when we are chewing, one of the things that you can tell yourself is like, do I have is there a big piece of food that's in my mouth that is not covered with my saliva? Probably, right? Even squishy food, sometimes you just put it in our mouth and swallow it, especially those hungry pitta types. They shovel it in and like, what do you mean chewing? I don't think I just inhaled. So really be careful with chewing your food until it's an even consistency and it's like a mush in your mouth, covering every surface with your own saliva. 2, eliminate gas and bloating to improve and alleviate stress in your digestive system. But this last one is one of the most important pieces. This gives your body time to realize when you're full. You'll hear the messages from your body more clearly when you're chewing, instead of shoveling it in, going, oops, I overate because I shoveled it in so fast that I didn't even, my body didn't have time to clue me in that I'm full. So tip number 5, chew thoroughly. Make sure that every particle of food that is in your mouth is covered and coated in your saliva. Never going to think about chewing the same again. Tip number 6. Eat with a peaceful mind. Now, I am fully aware that most people during this time of the holidays, it can be for some people the most stressful time of the year. And it's unfortunate because it is the time that we have most available to us to be with a bunch of different people that we may not see all year round, and to be with them in such a deep and meaningful way, and to have it filled with stress. So I fully understand that the holiday times can be some of the most stressful times for a lot of people. So clear your mind and find some peace before you start eating. Ayurveda teaches us about the connection between the mind and the gut, and this saying that says, as above, so below. So if you've got anxiety and worry and overwhelm and self-doubt and all of that in your mind, if you eat with that, when that is in your mind, you're actually consuming those things in your gut. So that will create gas and bloating, constipation, even digestive pain, depending on how tumultuous your mind is. If you have anger, frustration, if you're in the middle of an argument and you're eating, those are heated emotions. That increases the heat in your digestive system. It can increase your probability of having heartburn, indigestion, sour stomach, belching, hot belching, and even diarrhea. Calm your mind, have a peaceful conversation. You might set some ground rules with the people that you're eating with. Like, while we're eating, we must have peaceful, loving conversation. And they may not know that you're doing it because of this, because you want to support your digestive system. They may all just go, yes, we need to cool it on the heated discussions during the mealtime. So eat with a peaceful mind. As above, so below. As your mind is, so your digestive system functions. So it's not just an empty suggestion to eat with a peaceful mind. Your mind sets the tone for how your digestive system is going to function. Take a nice deep breath. See if you can tune out people. If they're not going to cooperate, see if you can just tune them out. Tip number 7. If you hang around a lot of Ayurveda people, you'll watch them eat a meal and you'll think they're eating it backwards, Many times true Ayurveda people will start with something sweet in the beginning to get the digestive system functioning, to get the mouth salivating, to get the digestive juices in the belly going. We will often start with a small something that's sweet. So our digestive system goes, great, there's food coming. And then we finish our meal with something bitter. Most commonly, very easy to eat bitter greens at the end of a meal. Most people in America will do it the other way around. If you start with a bitter, yes, it does cleanse the palate and it can get you ready to eat, but it is confusing to the mind. If you end with something sweet, it encourages you to continue eating, because that sweet taste kind of starts the flow of saliva going, there's more stuff coming. So if you end your meal with something sweet, your body's going to get a little confused. It's going to think, well, more should be coming, right? So I'm going to make this part a little bit bigger. So use the bitter taste at the end of a meal, signals to your digestive system that you are done eating. It cleanses the palate. Now, when I say eat some bitter greens, I'm not talking about iceberg lettuce covered in ranch dressing. Please hear me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a small amount of bitter greens that kind of look like these. Arugula is here in this picture, is a pretty bitter one, pungent too. Here's some other dark leafy greens. So I'm talking about those, and I'm talking about a small amount that you could maybe pick up with your hands, pick up with your fingers and put on your plate. So it's a small amount with some simple vinegar and a light oil as a dressing. So not a heavy, creamy dressing. So something that is, if you think about what is going to cleanse your palate, what's going to just kind of rinse your mouth out. That's what I'm talking about. And other than this particular way of using fresh bitter greens, in the winter, Ayurveda people, we generally avoid cold raw foods in the winter. That includes salads, raw vegetables, like that raw veggie tray that you see a lot at family gatherings. That is not considered for Ayurveda people. That's not generally a healthy thing to eat. Yes, it might be better than many of the other things on the table, especially if you're having any meal with my Southern family that comes from Kentucky. That might be the healthiest thing on the entire table. But that's not generally what we eat as Ayurveda people in the winter time. We are eating more cooked, stewed, lightly steamed, boiled, those types of things. We avoid or reduce any raw or cold foods in the winter. So tip number 7, finish the meal with some bitter greens. Again, it's a small amount. If you can think about how much you would pick up with your fingers, not your whole hand, just your fingers, and putting a little bit of vinegar and oil as a dressing on there, that would be how you would finish a meal. All right, we've got 2 more left. Actually 3 if you count 8, 9, 10. So we've got number 8, which is bring digestive teas to the meals. That seems a little weird. Yes, you can bring a food dish, like something to eat, but bringing digestive teas to a meal is one of the best ways for you and everybody else there to keep their digestive system happy. I bet at every family gathering, there's at least one person, even I'll say one being, because I have dogs and sometimes dogs get into things they shouldn't get into. So I'll say there at every family gathering, there's at least one being that has digestive upset of some sort. So wouldn't you like to be their savior? So bringing some digestive teas and putting them on display in a really nice and colorful way is a great way to keep your digestion system happy and those of all of your family members. So it's one of the simplest ways to support yourself and your loved ones. Make it an easy thing for them to do. Instead of reaching for a coffee or another alcoholic beverage or something iced, put these nice, beautiful teas, display them, make a pretty little plate, or get a nice plate from like an antique store and spread out these digestive teas, make it really easy for people to do the right thing for their digestion. So some specific brands, because often people go, what do I get? Some specific brands, I love to recommend Yogi Tea, because Yogi Tea has a base in Ayurveda. They use a lot of Ayurvedic herbs and Ayurvedic formulations. And Yogi Tea brand is actually one that you can find in most places. You can even find it in Walmart. Not that I'm a big Walmart fan, but you can find things, even if you're in a remote town in Kentucky where my family lives, I can find Yogi Tea. The ones that I really like are, it's called Stomach Ease is the actual variety. These are all caffeine free. They also have just one that's called Ginger Tea. Those are really excellent ones for the Stomach Ease is good for just general indigestion. And the ginger tea is also good for general indigestion. But if people are experiencing like the acid or heat buildup, the other two from Yogi brand is one called Egyptian licorice and another one that is their peppermint tea. Both of those are really good for acid indigestion or heated digestive system problems. You can then, if that isn't the way that you want to float, you can also just make your own type of tea, getting some hot water, putting fresh ginger root in it, putting fennel seeds, even putting a cinnamon stick in the hot water. Kids really like any of those, especially the cinnamon stick. Put that in just hot water. It's a great way to both support yourself and to support your family members in a non-intrusive, hey, over there, maybe not have your fourth glass of wine, maybe have some digestive tea, putting these things out, making it really easy. Even if you do little gift bags, putting some of this in a little gift bag for your family members, for your guests, or offering these as they go out the door, right? Say, would you like a cup of tea to go, or give them slip them in their pocket. There's lots of different ways to do it, just to give more digestive help for both yourself and the people that you love. So bring digestive teas, give them as gifts, make them very easy for people to use and find. Tip number 9, belly rubs. Now, if you are a parent or if you're around kids, you know that when they get upset belly, it's great to rub the belly. Now, what I want you to do, I'm not on the camera, or at least I can't see myself on the camera, but I want you to think about clockwise motion on your belly. So I want you to put your hands on what you consider to be your stomach, or like just below the rib cage, right below the breast in the center of the body. And then I want you to slide your hands over to the left. That's your stomach. And go down on the left side. Go across the belly on the bottom, going from left to right. Go up on the right side, and then come back to be in the middle, right below the breast. So that would be clockwise motion on the face of your body. So give yourself right now, give yourself a nice belly rub clockwise, which is down on the left and up on the right, down on the left and up on the right. And you always finish by going down and out the center, like down and out the way that you would release things in either urinating or defecating. And this is the flow that your digestive system goes in a clockwise motion. So a nice belly rub, you can either supercharge your belly by putting 1 or 2 drops of a digestive essential oil on there. You don't have to, but rubbing your belly after you eat. And then if weather permits, taking about a 10-minute walk, not a fast jogging run, just a walk, a brisk, semi-brisk walk to stimulate the digestive system and get things moving. So tip number 9 is clockwise belly rubs, or take a walk, or even both. And the 10th tip, the last one, is gratitude. But I want to guide you through something. I want you to think about this. I've got a lot of stuff on the screen here. And like I said, if this is something that resonates, you can certainly take a picture of it. And definitely gratitude for our family, for our loved ones, for the abundance in our life, for all the things that we have. We here in the United States are definitely a country of amazing abundance, sometimes overabundance, but definitely amazing abundance for most people that live in the United States. There are certainly areas that do not have abundance, but it really is overall, it is a country of incredible abundance. So being in gratitude for that, for sure. But what I want to talk about is more specific to something, and it is to have gratitude for the food that we're being given. So I want you to think about right now, I want you to think about like one of your favorite meals at holiday time. And it could be a dish, it could be like you could see your plate in front of you, all the things on your plate. I want you to take just a second to think about one of your favorite things that you look forward to eating at the holiday time. And I want you to think about how many individual ingredients are on that plate that you're seeing, either in the dish or on the whole plate, including the spices, salt and pepper. Most things have salt and pepper. I want you to think about all of the individual ingredients on your plate that you're visualizing. How many ingredients are actually there? Now I want you to think about all of the hands, H-A-N-D-S, all of the hands that had to touch these foods and these ingredients in order to get them on your plate. Who grew these things? Again, even down to the spices, the milk, the butter, all the ingredients, who grew them? You don't have to know who they are, but just realize how many people are involved in what showed up on your plate. Who grew what's on your plate? Cultivated it? Where did they grow? What country did they come from? Many times you don't realize that when we're eating a pretty simple dish, we're eating things from other countries. A lot of times it's the spices. Who cared for these ingredients while they were growing? Who harvested them? Who drove them to their destination or destinations? Who processed them? Who put them on the shelf? And then who prepared this for you to eat? So giving thanks and sending blessings to all the individuals involved to get these few bites of food into your body. Realizing that in most cases, this is a monumental undertaking. And sitting in gratitude for that. So those are the top 10 tips, or as I said, they're just the 10 tips. I should stop saying the top 10 because they're just the 10 tips that came up to share with you today. So the next slide that's up on the screen is how you find more about me personally, individually. You can find me at TresaLaferty.com. You can also find me at wisetreeacademy.com. I do work with individuals. I also offer group sessions as well. And kind of like our little ending quote before I stop our recording and turn it over to some questions comes from Buddha. Do not overlook tiny good actions, thinking they are of no benefit. Even tiny drops of water in the end will fill a huge vessel. So these tiny suggestions that I'm giving you, some are tiny, some are a little bit bigger, but these tiny suggestions I'm giving you to support yourself during the holiday season and any time of your life, making your digestive system just a little bit happier, will act as these tiny drops of water, which in the end will fill a huge vessel. Okay, so I'm going to do two more things here, and then I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll open up to the question and answers. To make a contribution to the Ayurveda Association of Wisconsin, we will, hopefully one of my constituents here will put the link in the chat about how you can donate. You'll definitely get a how to donate button when you get sent the recording, but if you do feel like this was helpful information, we would love a financial support from you in any amount. So please help us by holding space for Ayurveda in Wisconsin by contributing to our cause. Donations accepted. And then obviously, thank you for coming to this either by watching the recording or being here live. This is our website, the association website, which is ayurvedawisconsin.org. You can find us on Facebook at Wisconsin Ayurveda, and you can, peruse our website and find all kinds of goodie information on there, which I'll be sharing here in a minute with those of you who are live on how to find qualified Ayurvedic practitioners. We here at the Ayurveda Association Wisconsin, we do verify the credentials of Ayurvedic practitioners to make sure they are qualified to do the things they say they're going to do for you. So know that anybody that shows up on our website are people that have been checked out by our association to make sure that their certifications and such are in order. We do have a list of practitioners on our website that you can use and get in touch with if you feel like you need the support of an Ayurvedic practitioner. We also have recordings of all of these past teachings, these past like 1 hour sessions. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording for those that are watching it after it's been live. And for those of you who are live, I'm going to be checking in with you to find out how we can support you on this session by seeing how we can help your digestion work a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but thank you everybody for attending and watching, and we hope to see you at a future event.